Greetings, friends. This is a short little video where we're going to cover the major strategies of inquiry. That means the major kind of methodological orientations that will be used in this class. You've seen this diagram that combines a number of different elements that we consider when we're doing research. We've already talked about philosophical orientations, philosophical world views, a modernist, a postmodernist, and a critical theory approach. In this video, we're going to talk about the two major kinds of methodological orientations, a quantitative and qualitative methodology, and give you a brief overview of each of those. This actually is the most substantial part of the class. We'll be taking weeks to actually fill in the details of this, but this video will give us a short little overview of what each of these methodologies is and how it is grounded philosophically. So when we talk about research design, what we're talking about basically is the way that a researcher goes about shaping a research question based on a topic, a problem that presents itself, and then goes about collecting information, processing that information to be able to answer a research question that he or she has formed. Basically, there are two primary approaches to doing research, what is called qualitative and quantitative research. Qualitative research is orientated more towards dialogue and surveys and questions and answers, and quantitative research methodology is more aligned with statistical analysis. Quantitative research is where you convert observations that you have made or surveys that you've taken into data, into numerical data for the purpose of some kind of objective processing of that information. And qualitative research methodology is where you make observations and you note those observations, or you conduct interviews, and then you try and determine various kinds of themes or consistent elements to the observations or interviews that you've conducted. First, let's take a look at quantitative research methodology. As we said, it has mostly to do with taking data and converting it into numbers and then processing those numbers into various kinds of statistical forms. As we mentioned in our last video, quantitative methodology has a modernist perspective grounded in the scientific method. It has a very optimistic view, oftentimes, of what can and can't be discovered through observation and analysis. Basically, it applies the principles of science and the scientific method to human interactions. Noting the quote there, just as atoms and molecules are subject to predictable laws, so is human behavior. And so what we'll do in that kind of methodology is collect a lot of information, oftentimes assigning numerical values to different kinds of constructs, and then count those, score those, turning it into numbers, and then performing some kind of statistical analysis on those. As we mentioned, it's a very modernistic way of looking at life. You can predict the future by taking a look at the past, and because the laws that govern current behavior and past behavior are constant and consistent, you can make inferences about what will go on in the future based on observations that you've made in the past. A qualitative research methodology has a postmodernistic way of looking at things. Basically, it believes that we as human beings are flawed, and there really is not such thing as objective truth so much as it is our perceptions of it. So what you will do as a qualitative research methodologist is that you will make observations and you will take a look at things, and you will use your own perspective to try and interpret what it is that you've seen. You will ask a lot of questions. You will ask questions of people and where they live, or in situations in which they live. You will keep an open mind, whereas a quantitative person will actually be looking for a specific kind of a construct, or for looking for certain kinds of evidence. Qualitative research methodologists will not be sure when they start out in an investigation what exactly it is that they will find. So, because life is not neat and orderly, and if there is such a thing as objectivity, we as humans will never be able to know it. We do our best with our own prejudices and orientations to construct an understanding or interpretation of an event or a series of experiences that people would have. In the qualitative research world, we believe that knowledge is socially constructed. That means that any number of people might have a perspective on a situation that they are observing or interviews that they're listening to, and everyone might have a different understanding, interpretation of it, but that's okay because we will come together and put our heads together and think about things and come up with an explanation that may have a certain kind of validity to it, and somebody else might come along and add to that. But the understanding of the way life works presupposes that there never will be a final definitive answer to anything. What you do is you make your perspectives known and you submit them to to your readers and to those who are interested in whatever it is that you're studying, and they will be able to add their perspectives as well. So as we said, there's going to be we're going to go ahead and spend a lot more time looking at qualitative and quantitative research methodologies, but this is just to give you a brief overview of the basic differences between the two as we move forward.